Wonderful students, as we come again to another class, because last week we had no class due to some certain situations. But now we are back, and we I would like to take a topic, very interesting one again. Okay, all right. So this is economics. Now, the the last class we had was on economic systems, and we actually learned that we have three types of economic system, and we learned some things about them and how we can actually relate it to the present economy and to know which economic system a particular country is operating. All right. So today we would like to take the measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency. Now, when we say measures of central tendency, the measures of central tendency involves three different measures, okay? Three different measures. The first one, we have the mean. The second one, we have the median. And the third one, we have the mode. So these are the measures of central tendency, okay? Now, for the mean is just the average of a data set. Okay. So when we say the mean of a data, we are just referring to the average. Okay. The average of that data set. Okay. Now, since we are referring to data, there is a need to understand what is that term called data. Now, when we say data, data just refers to what? To information that are what? Unprocessed. Things that does not really make sense. Okay, that's what we refer to as what? Data. That means some things are not organized properly. When you look at some things statistically, or maybe some records, they do not make sense until they are what? They are processed, or they do not make sense until they are arranged very well. For example, when you just see, let's say, a name like, let's say, Anu, 4,000 naira, 4,000, and you see something here, naira, or maybe there's no naira at all. Okay, you see Anu 4,000, and you see something like bio, maybe like 3,000. Now, fine, you might understand that. Okay, Anu is having 4,000, bio is having what? 3,000. But it is not arranged in such a way that you really understand the in-depth meaning of what? Of why is 4,000 attributed to Anu and why 3,000 is attributed to bio. Okay? So because this thing is not arranged properly, which is not, it's not kind of making that sense, or it's not giving that clear information. So therefore, this is just what? Plain data. Okay? So another word for it, they call it raw fact. Data is just raw fact. Okay, they do not actually make sense. Okay, until they are what? Processed. So when you process data, when you process it, then you get what you call information. Okay, you get what you call information. All right. Now, since we have data, there are ways in which data can be classified. Okay, data can be classified in a grouped way, as we have data can be the classification now. The classification. One, it can be classified in a grouped way, and number two, in an ungrouped way. All right. Now, so if a data or if a particular data set is what? Is grouped, okay? And you can have some that are what? Ungrouped. Now, the one that is grouped, they have series of ways through which you can what? You can tend to like solve questions on them, or it has ways through which those data can be what? Can be presented. Hope you are following. All right. Now, when we have ungrouped, the way ungrouped are, they are arranged in such a way that it's just it's not really arranged. Okay, it's just there like planes of a series of numbers. That's what we mean by what? The ungrouped data. All right. Now let's take now for the ungrouped. Okay, the ungrouped can appear in two forms, in the sense that data that are ungrouped, but sometimes they come with interval. All right, and sometimes they come without interval. Okay, so when you say groups data, sometimes they come in what? In an interval format, while others do not come with what? With an interval format. So but it is still classified as what? As a grouped data. But when you look at ungrouped, ungrouped is, just like series of numbers. For example, something like this: 1 2 3 4 5. This is ungrouped data. Okay, all right. Now with so I want us to take the ungrouped, okay, then we explain them, then we see how we can solve relevant questions under them, which is the mean, median, and mode. Now let's go back. Since we have analyzed what data is, okay, and we've seen the classifications of data, now let's go back to our measures of central tendency and how we can apply them to this ungrouped data. Now if you look at mean actually can be classified. We have four or three types of mean. The first type of mean is the general one that we all know, which is what? Arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean. Okay? Then the second one is called geometric. Geometric mean. Then the third one is harmonic mean. Right? So these are the three types of mean that we have. Okay, we have the arithmetic mean, geometric mean, and what? Harmonic mean. Then for median, median is just looking at the middle number. Okay, when you have a data set, okay, you actually have the midpoint of that data set. So the middle number is actually called the median. Okay, now the mode just simply means the number that occurs most. Now I'm sure you now be wondering, why do we have these things in economics? Now economics, we all say, according to our modern economists, okay, Adam Smith, we have others like Alfred Marshall and the likes, economics is a social science. All right. That means, as a social science, saying the fact that it has a science part or a science nature, that means it tends to use some mathematical what instrument, or it tends to use some statistical what instrument. So that means that in economics, it is studying what human behavior. Okay. Now, in my first class, I explained that when economics is studying human behavior, they study just 3 to 4 things about the human behavior. Number one, they study the consumption part, the consumption of what? Of commodities. Okay. Number two, they study the what? The distribution. All right. Then number three, they study what? Production. The production of goods and services. Okay. So these are the activities you study about what? About the human behavior. Not all activities the human behavior engages in, okay, engages in. That's what, no, they don't study that. They only study some few economic what activities, which is what? Consumption, distribution, and production. Okay. All right. Now I can even add more. I can add one more, which is what? Exchange. Exchange is very, very vital too. Okay. So we can have consumption, distribution, production, and exchange. So this is the things you study about the what? The human behavior. Now, let's take consumption, because consumption really affect the consumers. Now let's see how mean, median, mode can affect this. Okay. Now let's say we have consumer A. Now the consumer A here, okay, every week, or let's say on Monday, he buys rice. Okay, maybe when he's going to work, he buys rice. Okay, now that's on Monday, right? Same A on Tuesday, he buys rice again. Abi? Now on Wednesday, now he bought, let's say, bread and beans. We call it B&B. It's one of the best food for students. Don't worry, when you get your admission, you understand. So Monday we have rice. Tuesday, then Wednesday, bread and beans. Then on Thursday, let's say we have another one. We have bread and beans again. Okay. Then on Friday we have rice again. So these are the food, okay, Mr. A consumes. Okay. Monday rice, Tuesday rice, Wednesday bread and beans, Thursday bread and beans, and Friday rice. Now the thing is, he consumes rice frequently. Is that not it? Because it consumes rice, more than the way it consumes what? Bread and beans. That means that you can get the mode from here. We said that mode is what? Is the thing or that item that occurs what most. So if you look at it, because it consumes rice almost all the time, okay? It consumes rice more than the way it consumes beans. So that means rice, the consumption of rice is what? Is mode. You can see now. Okay, the consumption of rice is what? Is mode. Now let's go to what? Mean. Now, most of the time, if we want to calculate mean here, we can calculate mean in the sense that we want to know the average income is spent on what? On this food on a daily basis. So, for example, let's say Mr. A's income, his total income is, let's say, 40, let's say 4,000 naira. It's an assumption, okay? An assumption, there's one term we use in economics to relate to any assumption. We call it ceteris paribus. Okay? Ceteris paribus, meaning all other things being equal. All right? All right. So now, let's say Mr. A has an average income of what? Of 4,000 naira. Now, on rice, he spends 500. Here, 500. Bread and beans, 700. Bread and beans again, 700. Rice, 500. Now, do you know that I can get the what? The average income he spends on these things. Okay? Now, watch. Now, what's his total income? 4,000, right? Now, what do we have here? Rice is what? 500. Rice here is what? 500. This is 700, 700, 500. So what will I do? I'll just add up all this money I'm spending here. I'll add everything and I'll divide it by what? By how many days? Which is what? 5 days. Then from there, I'll know the average income I'm spending on what? On food. You see it now. So this is how mean works. Okay. You can get the mean for the way you spend money so that you can actually use it to what? To manage the way you spend. Okay. All right. Now let's now go into what? Median. Now, what is the importance of median? Median is actually one of the criteria you use to get what? The midpoint. Most of the time, the midpoint here, you just want to get what? A measure on yourself at which most of the, let's say, the midpoint here. Now, what? This is rice. Bread and beans, rice. Okay. Now, Wednesday, we can actually say Wednesday is this guy's midpoint. Okay. Now, when he gets here, he can decide, okay, since my midpoint is what? Bread and beans, that is the the half of the week. Okay. So at that half of the week, he can decide that, okay, I don't want to consume bread and beans. Or maybe from the next day, I want to what? Change my meal. You get the logic. So meaning that the midpoint is actually a way to what? To reshuffle your decision making. Are you following now? All right. So every measure of central tendency is actually applicable to what? To daily life. Okay. All right. Now, so let me give you an example to see how we can what? We can solve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So let's rub this part off. So example, given that All right. Now, we have, given that the data below represent the marks of students in an economics text. So we have 20, 10, 20, 10, 30, 40, 20, 50. All right. So we said calculate I, arithmetic mean. Two, or II, geometric mean. I, harmonic mean. Then IV, median. Then V, mode. Mode. Okay? All right. Now, so we said arithmetic mean, geometric mean, harmonic mean, median, and mode. Now, here we want to see how we can solve this. So let me give you the formulas. For the formulas, I have arithmetic mean. Now, mean actually can be represented with X bar, okay? X bar. So I will say arithmetic mean, that is A X bar. And my formula is summation X over N, okay? Now, the X are just the what? The observations you have here. That is the meaning of your what? Your X. Those are your X values, all right? Then geometric mean, that is GX bar. I'll be having nth root of x1 times x2 up to the point of what? Xn. Okay? Xn simply means the last x value or the last observation. Then harmonic mean, hx bar. That is an inverse of the arithmetic mean. And that will be n over summation 1 over x. Then we have median. Now, for median, you need to take note of something. Now, anytime you want to solve for median, you need to come to the fact that your data set can have what you call, it can be in an even position or in an odd position. Now, what do I mean? This is what I'm saying. Now, let's count these data we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, my data set is what? Is 8. So that gives us the fact that, or it gives us the information that this data set here is what? Is an even data. Okay? Because it consists of what? 8 students. So that means the data I'm working with is what? Is even. So because it is even, median, if my median is even, okay, what I just need to do is what? I will apply n over 2, then th. All right? That means that this n over 2 th is for what? Is for the even position of my data. Even position of data. So that means n over 2 th will just give us the position of that median. Okay? It will give us what? The position of the median. All right? Now, if it is odd, what if I have odd? For odd, I will come here. For odd, median. For an odd position of data, my formula will be n plus 1 over 2, then th. That's all. Very simple. All right. So this is how I get my odd position, and this is how I get my what? Even position. Now, how do I get my mode? Mode is just the number with the what? Highest frequency, or the number that occurs most. Now, in that scenario, to get your mode, at times, the mode, you can have like 2 or 3 modes in a question. Or maybe you have 2 modes. Look at this data I have here. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Now, in this question here, 1 occurs most, 2 occurs most, right? Now, let's say it is a normal question where I just have 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay? In this question, 1 is my mode. Are you getting it? So if 1 is my mode here, because the mode is just what? 1. Or let me change this one so that you don't see that because it is 1. Let me say I have 3, 3, 3. Then I have 1, 2. Okay. Now, watch here. How many threes do I have here? I have threes. The threes are what? In 3 places. So it means that the number that occurs most here is what? Is 3. But because the number that occurs most is 3, that's a single number. My mode is what? Is a single number. So because my mode is a single number, I call it what? Unimodal. Are you following now? You call it what? Unimodal. But if the mode is what? Is 2, you call it what? Bimodal. So let's put that here. This is my question. I don't want to rub it off. So let me come here. As a continuation to this. All right. So for mode. So if I have a single mode, that is, I will do something like this. I usually like diagrammatic expression. So here I have single. If my mode is single, it becomes what? Unimodal. Okay? And if I have 2 mode or double mode, I call it what? Bimodal. It's as simple as that. Okay? So don't forget you can have bimodal, you can have what? Unimodal. Okay? All right. Now, let me just give a simple example here. Watch this closely, please. If I have this, I have 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now, observe. Look at this. 2 occurs 3 times. 1 occurs 3 times. So it means that both of them occurs most. So it means that my mode is what? 1 and what? 2. So that makes it what? Bimodal. It's as simple as that. Okay? All right. Okay, so let's go back to the question. So since we have, so mode actually, for a group data, we don't really need a formula, okay, for mode. You don't really need to apply any formula. But when you move on to the grouped data, for the group data, when we consider the what? The interval presentation of data, mode as a formula, median as a formula, okay? Then mean, we all know mean as a formula. All right, so let's go back to the business of the day. Now we come here, arithmetic mean. So let's apply the formula we have. So solution number 1. So we have, following my formula, summation. Okay, I forgot to write my arithmetic x bar. That is the formula first, summation x over n. Okay, now in the case of writing Jamb, okay, it will be very expedient of you to what? To know these formulas by heart, okay? Because you don't